Alrighty, album review time. Alligator Bites Never Heal by Doechii. A little behind the curve on this one in terms of time, but that's okay. I'm glad I took my time with this project. I really like this project. I don't have my notes. I thought I emailed my notes to me via the internet, but apparently I did not. But that's okay, because I think I got figured out what I want to say. First order of business, favorite tracks, of which there are a lot to pick from for me. Some favorites for me that really stand out: Bullfrog, Denial is a River, Catfish is amazing, Boom Bap. It's funny because I remember on the reaction not really being into Boom Bap, and now I absolutely love Boom Bap. Beverly Hills, I think, is probably my favorite off the album. It's hard to say, because of those 4 or 5 that I just listed, they're all pretty different from each other in terms of style, energy, etc. And that's something I really like about this project overall, is the wide range, the versatility that exists with the songs that Doechii has put out here. Especially, I mean, you like Bullfrog. Great song, 90 seconds. And it's an amazing song. And then you get into Beverly Hills, which is 3.5, so kind of a little bit more of a traditional runtime there. And she's got a little bit of singing going on, and just really love how you get this like Boom Bap and Nissan Altima are both just fiery, talking shit, high energy, all up in your face kind of songs. But then you've got Beverly Hills, you've got oh shit, now I can't remember. Skip slows down quite a bit and chills out, a lot of range. And if I recall what I wrote in my notes, what I do enjoy about this album so much is how she's expressing a lot of range artistically in terms of the music that's being made and the different dynamics within the songs, but also just a lot of range in what she's expressing as an artist. This album is very cool in that it sprinkles in little themes about, feeling like I'm overwhelmed with life, and I'm trying to check in on these people, and I'm trying to pursue my passions, and I'm trying to check in on my friends, but I'm trying to give myself downtime, and then the other person saying no. There's only 24 hours in the day. You can't do it all in one day. That kind of thing. With Beverly Hills talking about it's over, I'm done, I'm not going to hit him up anymore. And this breakup thing that seems to revolve around someone who's in a career where you kind of have to have a presence and talk your shit and be that person, and the other person not really being on board with that. I like the song Wait a lot, where it's essentially, slow down, eat what's on your plate in front of you, all that kind of. So just lots of different things strung out, themes, I should say, not things, themes strung out, just sprinkled into this album. And then also too, something I was thinking about, I was pondering as I was exploring the album, and then some stuff I saw online in terms of conversation. She's heavily inspired by Tyler the Creator, obviously inspired by Kendrick, and inspired by some other artists as well. And I remember when the album came out, I purposely avoid music debate. I'm not really interested in debate about music. You either like it or you don't. And I don't really give a fuck what anybody else thinks about the music I like or don't like. It doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. It's what I enjoy. It's what I'm into. There you go. But there were basically 2 sides of an argument I was seeing floating around. One was she's the female Kendrick, which, technically is a compliment, but we'll dig into this a little bit. And then the other side of that argument was she doesn't need to be the female Kendrick. Just let her be who she is. Let her be her own artist. And I, stuck that in the pot for a while, let it simmer in the brain. And I was just thinking about hip hop in general and how, really even in the early days, the origins of hip hop, how it was, essentially a DJ with a record, spinning it back on the music break so that people could dance to the break. And then other people figured out, I could actually start dropping in my own lyrics on top of the breaks, and thus MCs are born. Then other people figured out I could take these songs that were, dancing to the break on, I can take that section, I could actually chop it and rearrange it and make it sound different and do all these different things. And therefore, essentially the backbone, as far as I understand it, the backbone of hip hop is born in terms of music. And so a lot of hip hop is this evolution of a sound. And obviously there are lots of unique and creative music that is born on its own within hip hop, but there's a lot of inspiration drawn from other artists. And something that I find interesting within the hip hop discussion is there's a lot of reverence and a lot of praise and a lot of just salutations in general about these huge artists that were widely influential in hip hop, right? Whoever you want to name off, I'm not going to bother saying any names. I don't like the debate, but just that concept. This artist was huge, heavily influenced hip hop, changed the way all this was done, all that was done, the sound, everything. Okay, great. But then you take the other side of that same coin, and it seems like people like to slight or even dismiss artists who sound as if they're influenced by a previous artist. And I find that a little strange to me. Now, this isn't necessarily specific to Doechii. I just want to throw this out there in general as a conversation point. I find it odd that would happen because in order to have an artist who is widely influential, you then also have to have artists who are influenced by them, and you can tell by the music that they're making. You can't have one without the other. Both have to exist. And so for me, with this album and Doechii, when I listen to a song like Stankapoo, I hear a song that sounds like could have been inspired by something off the Goblin album by Tyler, the Creator. There's some nods in here, some sounds in here. I can't remember off the top of my head now. I don't have my notes. Obviously sounds inspired by Kendrick Lamar, or is like a little slight nod to Kendrick Lamar. But what I really love about this album is, well, there are moments and there are sections where you can hear the influence. In my opinion, she is very much existing in her own space and her own style, her own swagger, whatever you want to call it. She is her own presence, her own sound, her own artistry, but you can also hear who influenced her. And to me, that is a big positive in terms of what hip-hop is, in terms of music and sound evolving. I love when I can listen to somebody and go, oh, wow, here's somebody taking something from before, something I know and I'm familiar with and I've heard, and putting a new spin on it. And so, again, like I said earlier, I didn't really dive into the debate. I try not to. I just don't care. But in general, that concept is a little strange to me when somebody comes along and makes something that sounds a little similar and people go, yeah, but they're just biting the style of somebody else. Because it's like an integral part of the evolution of the music. So with this album specifically, I like two things a lot. I like that I can hear little hints and little flavors of who she was inspired by, because it's exciting to me. I remember talking about Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, and when that album came out, and a lot of people were talking about it, but then I was thinking, I hope I even said it during the review, talking about how is this album going to ripple forward years from now? How is this album, Mr. Morale, going to influence somebody who's 17 who then makes an album when they're 20, and it's because they heard this thing from Kendrick? You know? So I kind of lost my train of thought. Basically, I was going to say the same thing about Stankapoo and Goblin and Doechii being inspired by Tyler and Kendrick and all these other guys. I like that she uses their sound, but also at the same, well, I don't even want to say uses her sound, is inspired by that sound, hints at that sound, but then also exists well within her own space. She does it very, very well. And I think the themes that she sprinkles in terms of just being a person that's trying to chase her dreams, being a person that's trying to be a good daughter, a good friend, a good self-care, chasing the money, but also like not being so wrapped up in money, and trying to manage relationships, but also trying to manage a career and a persona that kind of surrounds the career and how that affects the relationships. I just love that all these elements are sprinkled in there. And then in a lot of the songs, there's just hints at different sources of inspiration. So there you go. Really, really enjoyed this album. I've been maintaining a little list of, who am I going to consider for album of the year. Personally, for me, there's a couple other albums that just edge this one out, but this is probably going to be in the little pool of albums I talk about come the close of 2024 in terms of some of the best projects I think that came out. And there you go, 10 minutes. Yeah, okay. Well, there's my thoughts on Doechii. I'm excited to have sat down with this album. I'm really glad I did. I'm glad to have found another artist who I really enjoy. I look forward immensely to what else is coming next. It feels weird to say that. I almost don't like saying that. I feel like these days with music, it's turned into more of something that's just consumed and then, okay, what's next? What's next? What's next? Really, I mean, especially with an album like this, it's done very well. Doechii earns her rest. I think she's got a tour coming out now, but I don't like this idea of, okay, now what? All right, I listened to your album. Now what do you got next? It takes time. It takes time. And I hope that she is given enough time. I know she's been doing this for a while. I'm kind of making it sound like she's brand new or something like that. That's not the case. But yeah, very promising career, I think, in front of her. As long as she sticks to who she is, I don't think she'll have any problems. All right, y'all. There you go. Take care. We'll see you soon.